Thanks. Hey, it's Nick Fundytus from Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa, and this is Nick Answers Reddit. This is something where every week I answer a Redditor's question about buying or selling a home or making their life here in Ottawa, Ontario. So this week's question is someone who needs advice on a new investment property. It's by Background Safe 6747 that was posted earlier today. And they say, let's say hypothetically you buy a house and after home inspection, there's $10,000 worth of hidden damages. Instead of the seller fixing it, they say they will drop the house price $10,000, which would require the buyer to use their own cash to fix it. Is that the norm, or is the seller obligated to fix the damages with his own cash? So in this thread, there is a lot of answers and many of them conflicting. So, I mean, some of these are wrong and some of these aren't quite there. So here's the short and the long answer of it. So first of all, the short answer is that if that $10,000 worth of needed repairs, which is not the same as hidden damages as written in the question here, is what's estimated by you, maybe get a written estimate for the work from a contractor or two. Second, the seller is not obligated to fix issues with his own money unless that is what you have both agreed in the agreement of purchase and sale. And then third, you may be able to get financing that gives you cash back on closing, but probably not from a traditional lender, so one of the big banks. Talk to an independent mortgage broker to see if they have a lender on their roster that can do this at an independent rate, or a competitive rate, sorry, is the word I'm looking for. Here's the more nuanced answer for someone who wants to understand this. So first is a clarification question for the buyer. So by hidden damages, do you mean that the inspection of the home, upon inspection of the home, there's $10,000 more work that needs to go into it to get it to good condition? Or do you estimate there's about $10,000 of intentional or unintentional damage that the seller appears to have purposely obscured from you? If it is the latter, consider walking away from the deal, doing further inquiries, or asking your realtor to negotiate protective language into the agreement of purchase and sale to look out for you. A seller intentionally hiding something is a big red flag for future costs, for safety and insurability on the property. In short, if they've hidden this, there may be other things that they successfully hid from you that could be a lot more serious. So second is estimates. So if you haven't yet, try to get written estimates for any necessary work if time allows during the conditional period, and see if it can be negotiated. Lay people, which it would include you, the buyer, home inspectors, are lay people when it comes to estimating costs, unless they are also contractors, and realtors have a tendency to either underestimate or overestimate these costs based on their bias, their intention for doing so, and it really helps you, the buyer, to be working with concrete numbers, both for your own costs and as a leverage point in further negotiation. Next point is about estimates. So if you haven't yet, I mentioned this in the short version, try to get written estimates for necessary work if time allows during the conditional period. Oh no, I just said this, shit. Norms. So there may not be a norm in your area in terms of whether the buyer or the seller is the one who fixes up a property. I'm not sure what province you're in, and the answer may vary in your market. But here in Ottawa, and I'm pretty sure in the rest of Ontario, and I suspect most places across the country, all that you can really rely upon is what is in writing in the agreement of purchase and sale between the buyer and the seller. So don't rely on any verbal agreements or handshake agreements, or my realtor or their realtor told me they would do it. Don't rely on emails or even what's in the MLS. Now, written things like emails and what's written in the MLS have proven in court cases to have some weight, but it's not a guarantee. There's also cases where the judge in a dispute said the only thing that's matters is what's in the agreement of purchase and sale. So though those things may carry weight in court, you don't ever want to go through the hassle and the pain and the time of taking a seller to court. It's unless you really have the chance to recoup a lot of money, it is not worth doing it, and try to avoid it as much as you can. Repairs. So my advice for you, the buyer, is to be the one who does the repairs. If you leave it to the seller, they're going to do it cheaply, and they're going to do it as quickly as possible. They're going to do a garbage job on it, or a lot of sellers will anyways. Knowing that the work was done properly by a contractor that you trust is going to help you sleep at night, and is worth the extra hassle and maybe even the extra money in having it done by you. The last note is on financing, and Financing is going to depend on quite a few factors, so including but not limited to your own borrowing ability, the type of lender you're looking at, provincial laws, federal laws, and just regulations that shift in the lending marketplace. But you may be able to get a loan that gives you some room for contracting work. We used to call these in our market purchase plus improvements mortgage, but I haven't had any clients need one in at least a year here. So your lender may call it something different in your area, or the term may be out of date. Ask an independent mortgage broker for counsel here, as the big banks tend to, nothing against them, but they tend to sell lending products that are very mainstream. They are meant for straight ahead purchase of a buyer. If they can lend like that in bulk, they can make, they make their money, and so it's not cost effective for them to have a whole bunch of different specialized mortgages. At the very least, the lender, so if you do find a product like this, a lender is going to want documentation of and estimates for repairs. They're going to want documentation of when it's done, depending on the amount. I mean, if it's 10,000, isn't that much on the grand scheme of things, but if it was a larger amount, they're probably going to give you that money in a schedule, piece by piece, as different stages of the work is done, which takes us all the way back to what I said about getting written estimates. If that's not available, consider taking out a line of credit, either unsecured against your own borrowing ability or secured against the value of the home. So this is, if you hear about a home equity line of credit, I mean, that's one of the products that's available. There's a ton of things out there. For the $10,000 after closing, do the repairs that you need to do. And if it makes sense with your numbers, refinance and add that $10,000 back into the total mortgage, because your house with those repairs is now going to be worth at least $10,000 more, or at least I hope it will, if you are doing smart, smart repairs for it that actually add to the value of the house. So the reason I know these things is I'm a realtor here in Ottawa, Ontario. I love answering these questions. So if you have any further ones, you can ask them here in the comments. You can ask me on Reddit. It's RLP Nick Fundytus. I mean, basically anywhere you type the name Nick Fundytus, it's unusual enough that you can find me and my team on the web, and can't wait to answer you. Thanks.